Today we're talking about adding new content to your game without actually having to rebuild the client, rebuild the player. So you know if you have something that's difficult to update, actually difficult to update the program, you can update the content without building a new game. So what we're going to start out with, we're going to be using our little board game prototype today. I have a bunch of different prototypes in one Unity project. So I'm going to start by setting up the web server because this is a little client server game. We will let this go. It takes a few seconds for this to get started here. Then we go into the build player. This is not the editor, this is the build player. And log into the game. And here it is. It's just a little bit of little simple little board game. Needs a lot of work, but here it is. And the thing I want to show you is the markers, these board things. You can see here that we have these different colors. So I can pick green, I'll turn green. I can go yellow and I'll turn yellow. And what I want to do is I want to add a new color without actually closing this program here. So I'm going to leave this up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Unity and I'm going to pick one of the colors of the markers. So we'll go with, let's say, blue marker. Search for those. I'm going to dupe all of these files. And I'm going to change them, the duped versions, to say orange. And I'll mess with the orange in a second. Okay, so we have all these things that said blue marker. Now we're going to go and we're looking at the orange marker. So I'm going to basically use some very simple tools, doing things inside of Unity, doing things using the most excellent program, which is Paint.net, because I'm not good enough to use Photoshop really in terms of art. So we will do this huge saturation change and hopefully get it to a nice orange color. Yeah, we'll brighten this up a little bit. That's pretty decent. That's a decent orange color, I guess. Saturate it. Yeah, there we go. So that's a nice orange color. And we'll leave it with that. Close this out. Come into here. Now we have these orange markers we have to work with. This material needs to get changed to orange. And we will change it to that. So now it's an orange material, and these things need to now reference the new orange material. Where is this? Body, where is the orange material? Oh, here we go. Wait, why did that already do that? That's interesting. Oh, I changed the wrong marker. Changed the wrong thing. Well, I will fix this here in a second. So I have to go to blue marker and change these back to reference the blue marker material because I modified the wrong thing. But that's okay. We can fix this very easily. So now looking at this, let's go into the marker folder. Just kind of look at these. So we got the blue marker here. Okay, that's got blue marker matte, blue marker, cyan, orange. Okay, the orange looks a little too red, so maybe I want to mess with this a bit. Yeah, it's maybe a little too dark. I think I want to go like that. So we've got that in here. So that doesn't look too bad, I think. At least we can see it. Now what I have to do is I actually have to build asset bundles now. So I'm going to go into the tools menu, build bundles, and in here we have just a little pop-up screen. Different platforms. Most of these don't really do anything right now, but that's okay. I need to basically pick the environment. Currently it's just dev, and I have to upload the bundles, otherwise this isn't going to work. So let's do this, and that'll take a few minutes to go. So I'm then going to come over to, let me just roll here. Make sure this is still going. Yep. I'm going to go into the editor now, the editor here, and I'm going to add a little bit of orange marker data to the game data so that we can actually reference these things in the game. Go to the data. Takes a few seconds to load everything in the database. Anyway, this is the way that I do editors. I don't like having to build websites. It takes forever to get anything done. So what I have here is this giant grid of things, each of which is, generally speaking, they have lists of things inside of them. In some cases they don't. Like for example, let's say bridge types. There's a few bridge types in here, not many. Things like items have a bunch of items in here, a bunch of different things in here. Item types have like 100 things in here. You can see all these different possible items for role-playing games. These aren't really used for the board game. Spells like crawler spells, dungeon crawler spells, like a couple hundred almost spells, things like that. Anyway, point is each of these buttons here generally represents a list of sub-objects. I'd say about 90 to 100 out of the 120 of them represent that. But what we need to do is we need to go and look at the markers, the board markers. And we have all these here. So I'm going to copy this one, and we need to make one that says orange now. And I'll change the, I don't know, the rarity. It doesn't really do anything, but change that. Now you can see here we're going to save a bunch of things. This generally only saves things that you've touched or looked at, so it's not saving all of the data. And so we do that. It'll take a second or two to save. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it into Git and copy it into the client, because the client has cached copies of everything. But this is the editor client, not the actual game client that's been built. So basically when you build a player in this system, you get a copy of the original game data, but then you can update it if you really want to at some point. And coming in here, I'm not going to copy to the server just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Azure and look at the blob storage. I tend to use Azure because Microsoft makes it easier to do simple things, and so I'm just keeping it as simple as I can. Count, I think we are, let me look at this. What client version am I in? 006. Okay, so I look in the 006 folder, and hopefully I will see maybe around page 4. What is this marker? No, page 3. Markers. Orange. Okay, so here's the orange marker. So this is actually the 3D orange object that I just created. It uploaded it to the cloud, and now assuming everything went okay, I can come back in here. Now I have to reset and basically start at the beginning of this again and basically download everything again. But just to real quickly, this does not have orange in it. If I reset, take a few seconds, it should come back to the board pretty quickly. Here we are, we're back here. Now we look at the markers again, and of course it doesn't have it yet because I didn't copy to the server quickly enough. So we will see. Here we are, now it's up at the server. Sorry, I had to copy the game data to the server, but now that orange is here, and now this orange is here. So what I just did is I made a Unity client player. I went into it, I stayed in it the whole time, and I went back into the Unity editor and I made some new art. I made a little icon, I made some little prefabs, and then I uploaded all of that art to the cloud. And then after that was done, I updated the game data to send into the server, which again, I didn't have to take down the server, it just reloaded the data. It takes several seconds to do, like you can see here, but it reloaded the data, and now inside of this same session, I now have this new art. Okay, so it just allows me to update things when it's really a pain, because a lot of these platforms make it a pain in the butt to actually make a new client. So the idea here is try and set up your game so that you can add new art, sound, levels, whatever, without having to do a new build of the actual game engine, because that's the thing that they're really a pain in the annoying butt about. So anyway, that's just an idea here, basically having asset updates, content updates in your game so that you can not have to do little builds and to go through approval process every time you make a small change to your game. Okay, that's all. Bye-bye.